Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sahars. I hope you see all of us and we are all audible to you.
Yes,
All right. Please begin by introducing yourself to the board.
sir, ma'am. My name is Sahars Kumar. I come from Kolkata, the city of joy. I did my schooling from Ramakrishna Mission Vidyalaya, Narendrapur. After that, I did my BTech from IIT Kanpur and worked for 2 years at Ola Cabs. Then I did my MBA from IIM Calcutta. While I was working in the corporate sector, sir, I realized after a point of time that my job had become quite monotonous, and this motivated me towards the civil services, where I realized that given the challenging and dynamic nature of the job, it will provide me the job satisfaction that I seek, and thus started my preparation for the civil services. It has been a bumpy ride, sir, and this is my final attempt. I feel that my mains went fairly well, and I'm optimistic about making it to the final list this year. Apart from this, sir, I like traveling and trekking and solving cryptic crosswords.
Okay. So, where have all you been to? Traveling? I asked you a question. You said you like traveling.
Sir, yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are.
Sir, within India, I have traveled extensively from Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, places of Rajasthan, and even southern India. Last year itself, towards in the month of October, November, I went on an extensive trip in the states of Kerala, Tamil Nadu. I've also been in the few states of the Northeast India. And sir, while I was doing my MBA, I got an opportunity to spend a semester abroad as an exchange student, and I spent about 3 months in Europe. And in Europe as well, I traveled extensively across 15, 16 countries. Sir.
Okay. So, you are also a marathoner.
Yes, sir, I like to run marathons, sir.
Okay. What's your best time?
Sir, I generally run the quarter marathons, which is the 10 kilometer run, sir. And my best time has been 2 hours and 10 minutes, sir. Sorry, 1 hour and 10 minutes, sir. Sorry.
And you also fond of trekking.
Yes, sir. I have very recently, sir, last year itself, I had taken a trek, and it was in the eastern Himalayas. And it was a wonderful trek that I had taken with a company, sir, called India Hikes. And yes, sir, I'm fond of trekking as well, sir.
How many days did you spend there in the trekking?
Sir, it was 6 nights and 7 days.
ESIR is your option.
Yes, sir.
Political science, international relations.
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell me, what's the difference between the election of President of India and Vice President of India? There are two major differences.
So one difference is regarding the electoral college, wherein in case of the President of India, the electoral college comprises of all the elected members of the both houses of parliament and the state legislative assemblies. However, in case of the vice president, the electoral college only includes the elected and nominated members of both houses of the parliament.
Excellent. How is the President of India elected?
So the president of India is the manner of election is it's called proportional representation by means of single transferable vote, and the idea is that different the electoral college votes for the different candidates and provides a list of different candidates, and then by means of this process, the president gets elected, sir. I could elaborate the process if you wish me to, sir.
You know the mathematics.
Yes, sir.
All right, good. You come from which state? Bihar.
Sir, I was born and brought up in West Bengal, sir, Kolkata.
West Bengal. Okay. So, what's the value of a Lok Sabha value of vote of a Lok Sabha member in the last presidential election? If you remember?
Sir, I am not aware of this. I'll have to read about this.
Okay. Legislative councils, your state, I mean your native state, does not have, but many states have. Why is it so?
So, a few states, if I remember correctly, 6 states in India currently have legislative councils, and it provides a lot of benefits. And, sir, this is according to the political scenario and requirement of those states. The benefits that it provides is it provides a detailed scrutiny and another means of scrutinizing the bills before their passage. And it also provides representation and greater voice to different sections of the population. These are some of the benefits of a legislative council, and it is up to the different states whether they want to have a legislative council or not.
It's not a constitutional necessity for each state to have a legislative council.
Sir, it is not a constitutional necessity. Sir.
My last question, how many CAPFs are there in the country?
Sir, so there are different categories of CAPFs. If so, there are 6 categories of CAPFs in the country.
6 categories. Okay, let's hear list.
Yes, sir. Sir, they are the Indo-Tibetan Border Police,
What does
the
it
National
do?
Security.
What does it do?
So the Indo-Tibetan Border Police mans the India-China border, that is the LAC, and also helps in internal security threats if they come in terms of nationalism. Sir, apart from that, there is the Border Security Force, the BSF, that mans the India-Pakistan border. Apart from that, sir, we have the BSF called the Border Security Force.
You already said border security.
Sorry, sir. We have the SSB, the Sahastra Seema Bal, that mans.
Not SEMA.
Sir, I might be mistaken about the full
All
form.
right,
Sir.
carry on.
Sir, apart from that, we have the National Security Guards, and they are engaged in certain specialized operations. Sir, then we have the CISF, Central Industrial Security Force, that is engaged in protecting the different industrial establishments of the country. And sir, at this moment, I am unable to recall the
All right.
remaining
all
ones, sir.
right, all right. Thank you, Mr. Shrikant.
Thank you, sir.
Sirs, recently, chairman of Infosys, chairman of L&T, the issue of the how much hour you should work, 70 hours, 90 hours, and the issue of work-life balance also. What is your view on this work-life balance?
Sir, in my opinion, work is a very important part of life and very important for any working individual because continuous working for extensive number of hours leads to a burnout, and then it leads to underperformance of that particular individual and also adds to mental stresses. Something that I have also encountered, sir, during my research on cognitive behavioral therapy, that a lot of people in India are suffering from mental stresses because of increasing competition and increasing work-related stresses. Sir, that is why, in my opinion, while productivity and profitability is definitely an important concern for corporate sector, sir, but we also need to ensure that if the employee remains healthy mentally and physically through work-life balance, then only we can get the best.
Okay. Even in the corporate, there is also a view expressed by one of the chairmen that why can't we go to top management colleges and take any campus to recruit people for administration, district administration? What is that? What is the view on that?
Sir, recruiting students from the from the top management colleges in district administration could sound as a way to get skilled people, but sir, I feel that the recruitment process for district administration that the UPSC conducts, I feel it is a more holistic test of different aspects of the personality of a candidate and the knowledge set that is required for becoming a district administrator that the UPSC aspirants have to garner. I feel it is quite different from that is taught in the top management schools. And I feel that just recruitment on the basis of managerial skills would do a disservice to the district, and it will be very difficult for them to cope up with the demand of the job. So,
In the GDP growth of our nation, we say that sometimes we say there is a jobless growth.
yes.
Actually, investment is not developing so much of job expected. Why? Or is it what is missing link in it?
Yes, sir. So, uh, so considering the current state of Indian economy, we call it that we are going through a period of jobless growth because uh, our major growth lever is the services sector. And however, services sector is a very specialized sector and it's not very much labor intensive. Rather, the labor intensive manufacturing sector has become stagnant, wherein the target of making it 25% of GDP, the manufacturing sector, is still a few way off, and we still haven't been able to make a lot of leaps and bounds in that particular domain, and that is why, because of a lack of labor intensive growth and a lack of focus of on skilling, a lack of skilled employment, wherein according to various reports only 51% of Indian graduates are employable, that is leading to this issue, and that is leading to jobless growth in the countries.
In 2019, the corporate tax was reduced. Expectation was the private sector will make investment in capital investment will increase from the private sector. Whether it happened, if it had not happened, what was what is the government is missing in the? Is it missing in the creating the proper environment?
Sir, yes, sir. The 2019 corporate rate tax cut was aimed at increasing corporate investment, and there have been reports that the increase in corporate investment was very limited than expectations. And sir, I believe that this is because reducing of tax cuts reducing of tax rates is definitely one of the important steps for increasing corporate investment, but this is not sufficient. And the government needs to create an enabling environment wherein there are still a lot of issues with in terms of ease of doing business. There are certain areas where we can improve in terms of making it easy for external investment to come in. And we need to focus on creating an enabling environment for the manufacturing sector, something we have been doing through the production linked incentive schemes. So I feel through all of these approaches, there can be a greater nudge provided to the corporate sector in terms of increasing investments.
The stock market indicators.
Yes, sir.
Are there any indicators of GDP growth?
So the
Yeah.
they could be aligned, or at sometimes they do align with the GDP growth, but then it is not always the case. Wherein stock market indicators are often very volatile and could be reflections of external shocks, global shocks, and there could be instances where they drop because of certain external shocks, like an external war that is happening. But then the impact on GDP because of that could be limited. Such as, sir, during the global financial crisis of 2008, the stock markets had a very big drop just in the wake of that event. But then the impact of India's GDP, that was relatively much minimal as compared to the impact on the stock markets.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Sahars.
Good morning, sir.
Right. Tell me, do you think in the last 25 years or so, 25 years, India's international stature has risen considerably?
Sir, I do agree with that statement that since the last 2.5 decades, India's international influence and clout has increased. And sir, we can see reflections of that with firstly our foreign policy, which has become more robust in terms of focusing on strategic autonomy. We have become important voices in different international forums. We are trying to develop ourselves, our international influence as voice of the global south. We have hosted important international summits such as the G20 in 2023. And we are showcasing our leadership as a global mediator through following the principles of Vasudev Kutumbakam, focusing on peace efforts, trying to mediate in the Russia-Ukraine war. Through all these events, I do believe that our international influence has increased over the past few years.
Then how is it that in global indices India comes out so badly? For instance, with regard to index, Transparency International rates us 93rd, press freedom 159, right? And if we discuss strength of our passport, we are somewhere around 85. So if we are such an influential power, then how do you explain such rankings?
So, firstly, all the major international indexes, they are highly dominated by the Western countries, and the Western countries, there have been allegations that they're highly dominated by the Western countries, and the methodologies that have been followed by these indices in calculating the rankings, they have also been debated by the Indian officials and the Indian leaders, sir. And sir, we also see, for example, in case of the corruption perception index, sir, this is largely a qualitative survey based on the perception of different individuals in India on how much corruption persistent in the society. So I feel because of these qualitative surveys and because of the
Hello. Uh,
methodology, India is not getting a good rank. However, sir, we also see that is have employment index.
sorry, it's a
Yes,
frozen. Can you hear
the
me?
environmental global innovation index, India's.
Right. Okay. Tell me why our ties with neighboring countries are so bad or so difficult. We should be culturally so close, and we have other kinds of linkages with them, historical and other kind of traditional linkage. So then our relation should be very good, right?
Yes. Sir, in many of our neighbors, one of the allegations that comes against India is India's involvement in their internal affairs. And I feel that India, because of these allegations, India must introspect whether India has been over involving itself in the internal affairs of these countries and try to maintain good relations with them and try to support them and help them while upholding the tenets of the Gujarat Doctrine, sir. At the same time, sir, I feel that it is often seen that our neighbors, such as seen in the case of Sri Lanka or Maldives, they try to play a balancing role between India and China. And that leads to instances, that leads to episodes of bad relations. And
Right. So, am I to understand that India is to be blamed for the difficult relations with between India and the neighbors? Because you say that we are interfering in their affairs, so we are at fault.
sir, I do not agree that we are at fault. Sir, I feel that in case there are certain allegations from our neighboring countries, we should introspect our involvement in them and try to figure out what exactly is their need. And our entire relation with them should be based on the Gujarat Doctrine, wherein we focus on their economic and infrastructural growth and support them in any way that they feel they require our support. Secondly, sir, I feel that we should maintain good relations with them and focus on developing economic relations, such as the South Asian Free Trade Agreement could be revisited, because a better economic relation leads to better political relations as well, sir.
Should we send Sheikh Hasina back because she's only a individual, and the relations between countries are important. So we can sacrifice Sheikh Hasina. What is your thinking on that?
Sir, while we do have an extradition treaty with Bangladesh that was signed in 2013, and according to that, we should send Sheikh Hasina back. However, sir, I feel that we have also, in the absence of any refugee law, we have to adhere to the UN Human Rights Declaration, and we follow the policy of non-refoulement, wherein we try to protect and do not send back any individual who might have a fear of their life in their home country. And by that principle, we should wait until political stability comes in Bangladesh. And after that, only after that, through proper rule of law, should we consider sending Sheikh Hasina back.
Thank you, Mr. Sahars.
Thank you, sir.
A very good morning, Sahars.
Good morning, ma'am.
So you are an MBA graduate, right? You have done
Yes.
IIM Kolkata.
Yes.
Let's go back into that. Can you recall two motivational theories?
Ma'am, if I may have a moment, please.
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, at present, I'm unable to recall any motivational theories.
Okay, I'll tell you. Tell me something about Maslow need hierarchy theory or Herzberg two-factor theory. Anyone?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I recall reading about the Maslow's hierarchy theory, wherein it talks of the different needs that an individual may have, starting with safety, physiological needs, safety, self-esteem, and followed by the ending. It ends with the feeling, the need for self-actualization. And this is when a person is able to understand their purpose on earth and feel at peace with himself or herself.
Okay. So getting into services is your self-actualization need?
Ma'am, I feel that I would not say that this is my self-actualization need, because I feel that I still have a long ways to go to achieve that kind of enlightenment. But I feel that going into the services fulfills a lot of my other needs in the pyramid, such as in terms of self-esteem, such as in terms of safety, in terms of other physiological needs. I feel it does fulfill many of those.
Okay. You must be aware about the principles of management, right?
Yes, ma'am. I do recall some of them.
Yeah, that is the first thing we do, right? So tell me few principles of management, any five.
Ma'am, I believe in terms of principles of management, I can recall something called Porter's five forces. If yes, ma'am, and this is basically it talks of how we can analyze a particular industry and whether we should enter that particular industry or not. A company should enter that particular industry or not, based on threat of competitors, based on power of the buyer, power of the supplier, and threat of substitutes. That is one principle that I recalls, ma'am. I am not able to recall.
No, that is not totally incorrect. Okay. Next question. Tell me, leaders are born or made?
Ma'am, I believe that, in my opinion, leaders are made.
Okay, just
Because when we are born, we I feel that we definitely are the products of our nature, but nurture plays an important role, because it may happen that even if it is our destiny is to become a leader, it may not be that we come across our different experiences like that push us towards that path. That is that we garnered throughout life, our support system that motivates us to become the leader we can be.
Okay. My last question. One nation, one election. How do you think it would impact the federal structure?
Ma'am, firstly, in making this a reality, it is causing a lot of problems. It is there have been allegations by state that it goes against the federal nature of the country, ma'am. However, ma'am, once this is implemented, it will still impact the federal nature of the country, in sense that all the states will have to work at the same time. All the elections will be done at the same time, and because of that, many regional issues will get subdued, and mostly the discussions would be regarding national issues and national events that are happening, and so, it will be more difficult, more challenging for regional parties to come up and make its name in the elections. So it will be very difficult for new entrants in the political system, and that is what I believe could be the impact on the federal nature of the country.
And any economical reasons? One nation, one election? How it is going to benefit?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, conducting an election once in every 5 years all over the country, it definitely is going to reduce the huge amount of money that happens. We are conducting elections throughout the year and in multiple times, and it will reduce. It has definitely has economic benefits. However, ma'am, there are allegations, there are concerns that the economic benefits are being overstated and before implementing this. Something that the Joint Parliamentary Committee is also trying to figure out whether the idea of reducing or the idea of economic benefits is a reality or not.
Okay. Thank you so much.